Making this video for a friend of mine who's starting a business, and he needs some help sorting out vision, mission, and values. His business is a startup, and even though it's very small now, as he grows, he's going to need the vision, the mission, and the values to help him organize the people who are going to be working with him. So this video is to assist him in sorting out what each of these means, what they are, and what they're for. It helps to think of the vision as a noun, the mission as a verb, and the values as an equation. And I'm going to explain that. The vision is a postcard from the future. It's sort of what do we want the world of the future to look like? You know, maybe it has a beautiful mountaintop and it has snow. That's the kind of thing that goes on a postcard. It's an idealized vision of the way the world works or the way the world looks. When it comes from the future, it's what kind of world do you want to live in as a result of the venture that you're creating? What do you want the world to change in the world so that it looks like this when you're done? His business is related to health, freedom, and autonomy. So it's not so much like a vacation postcard, but it's a vision of a world in which people can exercise freedom, where they're empowered with knowledge and technology to take charge of their own health and meet their own health and wellness goals. Now that's my understanding. His vision might be different. I'm just using it as an example of how somebody could create a postcard from the future, having a wonderful time, wish you were here, living in this world with me. That's what we're working towards. And how do we get there? The mission are all the things that we do, the verbs, the activities that will take us from the present, you know, wherever we are right now, towards this postcard from the future. So the vision is the noun, the mission are the verbs, the things that we do. It is our mission to verb, to help realize this world that we want to live in. It's very helpful when you're thinking about the mission to think about what problems does your venture and its products solve. Between the present, where we are now, and the postcard from the future that we're working towards, there's going to be obstacles. There are going to be things in the way. We're going to call those things problems. And your products, your technology, your services are either going to overcome or solve or resolve these problems for customers in a way that helps them realize this vision of the future. So what problem does your venture solve, and who has that problem are really important things to consider when you're talking about the verbs that you're going to do. Of course, it's going to be important to know how much will they pay for your solution, or you're not going to have a viable business. But at the startup stage, we can think of the vision and we can imagine the mission, and this would still be kind of a research question. We don't know yet how much people are going to pay, because a startup is a grand experiment to see if we can discover a business that will take us from here to here. I mentioned the values are an equation, and this requires some more explanation. Most people think of values as kind of like Enron values. Oh, we value honesty and trust and teamwork, and we'll put it on posters around the conference room in the hallways. This is Netflix. They've done a better job of thinking about their values, but they still haven't expressed them as an equation. These are the things that Netflix says they value in their salaried employees: judgment, communication, impact, curiosity, innovation, courage, passion, honesty, and selflessness. Aren't these a wonderful list of qualities that we would love to have in our coworkers? The problem is that they don't say what they're willing to give up in exchange for these 9 things, these 9 wonderful qualities. These aren't values. because value implies that you put a value on it, that you say what it's worth to you. Now, perhaps the implication, because this is in the context of hiring, is that they value courage more than they value the salary that they pay the employee. And that would be an equation. But that doesn't help the employee make decisions. When the employee joins Netflix, they're going to have a million different decisions to make about what to do with their time, what to do with their creative energy, what to do with company resources. And none of these values help the employees at Netflix make those decisions. That's what I mean when I say values are an equation. They have to be expressed in the form of what you're willing to give up. For example, at one of my new ventures, I value candor more than I value comfort. What does that mean? I value direct communication more than I value conflict avoidance. So when we think about when we go to the grocery store, maybe we value a quart of grass-fed organic milk. But how much do we value it? We value that quart of milk more than we value the $6 sitting in our pocket or in our bank account. But that doesn't necessarily mean that all the comfort in the world, we surrender that for a little bit of candor. There is some equation. We value candor more than we value comfort. And this is an improvement on saying something like, oh, we value communication, because it helps people make decisions, but it doesn't tell you exactly what the equivalencies are. I'll give you some more examples. We value caring more than we value apathy, or we value action more than we value reticence. Of course, there will be time for thought. There will be times when no decision, inaction could be a way of acting. There will be time for thinking things through. But in general, we value action over reticence. We value learning over efficiency. So this is one way of communicating the startup organization's values. But there's something else. When it comes to all of the relationships and the stakeholders that we have in the family, in the startup, we have to think about our values. Who are the people that we prioritize? And our families inevitably will come first. But who after that would we prioritize? Do we prioritize customers over employees? Perhaps we do. Do we prioritize employees over vendors, affiliates, contractors? Perhaps we do. It would be very reasonable to say that we value them more than suppliers. We value suppliers more than we value our shareholders. We value our shareholders more than we value our bankers. And this is my favorite. Do we value the bankers more than we value our obligation to pay taxes? There are legal implications to this sort of prioritizing of our obligations. Some people, of course, they will put their deity at the top of this list. And the people who have a religious background or religious training, I find, are often much better at working through these kinds of priorities. They become attuned or trained to think about how to prioritize their obligations. But there are legal ramifications to this. According to a Supreme Court ruling from the 1920s, you are legally obligated to maximize shareholder value, at least in a publicly traded corporation, or perhaps in any corporation. But when you are the shareholder, like in a startup where you own most of the equity, your obligation there is to yourself. In a publicly traded corporation, it's more obvious that the officers have a legal duty to maximize value for the shareholders. What does that mean? It doesn't say how to do it. It just says that they must do it. After that would become the bankers, the debt holders. But you don't maximize their value. Debt holders are paid before shareholders in a liquidation. And so what I'm not doing is trying to sort out for you in this prioritization scheme. I'm not, of course, taxes are a legal obligation too. Student loans can't be bankrupted away. You get my point. I'm not trying to say this is legally what you have to do. I'm saying there are legal consequences. But what I want you to do when you're thinking about your vision, mission, and values is consider the values to be an equation. Do we value employees more than we value vendors or contractors? Because there will be decisions that you have to make along the way as you are plotting your course, zigzagging through your mission towards the vision of your future. There will be decisions that you and your people have to make. And those decisions will come with trade-offs that test your values. It will be tempting at some point to say, I don't care. And when that moment comes, that you say, I don't care. Or you hear your coworker saying, I don't care. It's a good time to remind them that the values you agreed upon when you joined the company, when you founded the venture, was that we value caring more than apathy. And it places the burden of proof on the person who says, this is that one exceptional time where a little bit of apathy or some amount of apathy supersedes, becomes more valuable to us than this amount of caring. That's my guidance document for vision, mission, values. I hope it helps him. Maybe it'll help you.